I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and today we are in Art Basel 2025. It is the inaugural event for Mission Matters, making it here. Not my first time to Art Basel, but been here a couple times, but this is the first recording that we'll be doing, and we were so fortunate to be able to do it at the Moore Club in Miami, a beautiful, beautiful location. And I have a return guest coming back on the show. For the long-term viewers and listeners, I'm sure you remember this one. So we had Nitty back. I'm going to get into the intro, and then let's have some fun. All right, so the guest again, we have Nitty back. So Nadab Akhtar, the founder and managing partner of eXcite Capital, a quantum-inspired investment firm applying physics-based AI to dynamic market strategy. With over 15 years of experience as an entrepreneur and investment banker, Nitty leads eXcite Capital's formation, trading architecture, and regulatory strategy. He also serves as president and COO of CrowdPoint Technologies, a pioneer in distributed computing and intelligent control systems. Let's give it up for Nitty. All right, Nitty. So we're back, man. Thank you for having us out. Great times.
I would thank you so much for taking the flight over to Miami. Good to see you again and spend time this evening.
My Art Basel story. The first time I came here, I was kind of wondering. I'm like, all right, so this is what happens. Everybody from LA takes the traffic from LA and we bring it to Miami. Like, that's the goal, to see how long it could take to go to South Beach, right?
I think goals accomplished very, very well.
I think it's also the perfect setting for today's talk. So we're talking about alternatives. And the first time I came here, I was on the board for the Century City Art Council. So for those at home that don't know what that is, Century City, California, I like to think of it as kind of like the little brother of Beverly Hills. It's right next door, and that's where all the agents are at. That's where the deals get done in Hollywood. The lawyers, everybody else is there. And so I was there, and I was working on again with the Art Council. And they sent me out here, and we were looking at the public art, and I just was amazed at what was going on. And that during that time, I was still managing money, and I thought about it. I met a lot of investors and a lot of people that they travel here to collect art and to, think about how that fits into their portfolio and alternatives in general. Where did the Art Basel thing, how did all that start for you?
My first Art Basel experience was about 10 years ago when I was a investment banking professional at a firm called Nexus Health Capital. And so I started as an intern at that firm when I was still in college at Baylor University. And I ended as chief operating officer. And one of my tasks when I first moved to Miami in 2015, when I first moved to Miami, was hosting our star client for the year, which was a physician that ran a emergency medicine practice management firm based in Houston, Texas, which is where I was born, by the way. And I invited him tonight, but he's coming to one of our other events for eXcite tomorrow evening. My job was hosting Jeremy and his wife, Caroline. It was that I showed them a good time because they had come to Miami a few times prior, but never to Art Basel. And so I wowed them and showed them a great experience, all that, which I did very, very well. We ended up selling his firm for about $250 million.
That's a good Art Basel experience.
It was a very good Art Basel experience. By the way, single physician owner, right, of a massive, massive firm. So we had a very good exit for him. He's very happy with me. That would be, by the way, a very good endorser for anyone looking into investing in eXcite.
So taking it further and thinking about this concept of alternative investments, maybe kind of start there a little bit and where you started thinking about alternatives, and maybe go into how you founded and why you founded eXcite Capital. But let's start with alternatives in general.
I would like to, Adam, if you would allow, give you two answers, right? Maybe a lot of the viewers watching this podcast, as well as some of the guests that we have this evening, I might ask by show of hands, did anyone here in this room tonight feel when they were children or when they were students in school, university, whatever it was, did you ever feel like you were special? Anyone let show me see those hands up? Striking that no one felt that they were special. All right, there's a few people that felt they were special.
Bartenders, what?
Does special education count?
Special education count, that by the way. Yeah.
So 19.
All right. 2 hands up there. I gotta tell you that I was one of those people that felt that I was special. And I will make a very great important disclaimer in saying that I'm not one of those typical millennials that say that, oh, I'm special and therefore I am entitled and therefore you should give me this. I'm not one of those guys. Why I felt I was special is there is this burning sensation and burning desire that some of you, if you're really honest with yourselves, okay, you're one of those, right? If you're really honest with yourselves, you know that you just think different, right? You just think different. You're just contrary in your approach to life, in your approach to business. And that is what I always felt in everything that I executed ever, right? Whether it was projects, whether it was exams, whether it was life, wherever it was. Hell, Adam, when I was applying to university, right, I had all these friends and all these homies and all girls in high school that knew what their passion was in life. They were good at biology, so they went to med or pre-med track. They were good at math, so they went to engineering, whatever the case was, right? For me, it was, well, shit, man, I was good at everything. All right, exceptionally good at everything. So, what does a personality have that tell? I got to tell you the fact that mindset and that perspective of executing life carried with me into my professional career. And one thing that always kind of bugged me, especially because when I was applying to university, I thought, well, do everything. What should I pick? All right, like what career track, what degree plan do you pick? And I thought, I knew I always want to go to Baylor University in Waco, Texas, because of my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Charlotte Park. Went to Baylor. She always talked about Baylor and how all Baylor memorabilia in the classroom. And I knew I was only applying there because I wanted to go to private Christian university in Texas. I only picked that, right? The only school I applied to. I was top 10 in my high school, so I got in Texas. We were accepted to all the state universities, which I did. But in when I went to orientation, my parents are sitting in the back room there. They never ever, and to God, never were pressured. You need to be a doctor. You need to go to the medical track. Never ever did that, right?
That's very forward thinking for the parents. Very shout out.
Yeah. Calm down, thank you. But when I applied to university, I decided, all right, I'll go to med school. The only reason, by the way, Adam, I did that is because I looked at a job board and I looked at one of the highest paying jobs. It was celebrity, professional athlete, CEO. I'm like, well, probably not going to work with my build to be a professional athlete. And although my wife there can attest to this, Jessica, hi. I'm not the greatest singer, although I attempt to be. I crush it at karaoke and lip syncing. I'm literally probably world champion at world lip syncing. And so I look at the job board, I'm like, well, CEO, hell, I could do that, right? But I thought in order to be a CEO, you gotta have capital, you gotta have you gotta have some dough in order to play in the big leagues. And so I thought, well, number 4 or number 5, whatever number it was, is surgery. And out of surgeon category, I picked brain surgery. Like, that's the one. I can do that, right? So when I went to university, I double majored. I did chemistry and finance. And how I ended up going down the route of, and this will all make sense to you in a second, of studying science, but also studying business. The science part taught me first principles, which is critical in everything that I've ever done in my whole career, and especially what we do at eXcite. And the finance career, which all of my finance classes were my blow-off classes. Like, I literally didn't go to class because the finance professors were like, "We'll show up for the exam." I did that, right? But when we started eXcite, it was based off of this concept or this perspective, and saying that the world and how it makes decisions, Adam, is so flawed. It's absolutely and utterly flawed, especially when it comes to finance. Finance, right, what the typical approach to solving problems or coming up with the quote unquote innovative investment strategy is to say that we're going to take an innovative approach to averaging and looking at what happened yesterday. We're just going to be better, faster, smarter in interpreting what happened yesterday or happened in headlines today. And that's what's going to be our execution strategy and running some type of creative or unique investment strategy. I got to tell you, if you really think about it, and if you're really honest, you know in your heart that is a flawed approach.
It's kind of status quo, right?
It is.
That's not status quo. And if enough people accept it, and it becomes,
the norm, right? And if you, you talked about this in some of our prior podcasts. I did a TED Talk earlier this year, and the title of my TED Talk was called "Beyond the Rearview Mirror." Right? What I say is, if you take that approach of averaging yesterday in order to execute an investment strategy, that's like driving by only looking at the rearview mirror. That's it. It's silly, right? Eventually, you're going to crash. And in the alternative investment space, know what you have and what's so intertwined with what Art Basel here in the wonderful city of Miami represents is you get to be creative.
Yeah.
That's what alternative investments allow. That's what we have at eXcite, is we get to bring this fundamental, by the way, very logical approach of being first principles oriented as well as creative, as well as sensical. And that's what we have at eXcite.
So if we break this down in simplest terms for maybe those that maybe have finance backgrounds, some that don't, like in simple terms, what would you say would be maybe some of the competitive advantages or exactly what you do, like what you're looking at?
So, Adam, I love that question. I want to hit it in a really simple to take away analogy. What we have at eXcite, Adam didn't say this, but if you read our deck and any of the screens that are around you, or you talk to any of my partners that are at the table with you or here in this room, you'll hear the terms, we're quantum computing driven, we're quantum century artificial intelligence, and you'll hear a couple buzzwords, artificial intelligence or quantum computing, right? And the pragmatist in you is going to say, well, these guys are just using fancy fucking buzzwords in order to sound unique and present a attractive marketing opportunity in order to take advantage of Art Basel.
Yeah.
We are not those people, right? And I want to underscore to you, Adam, as well as our listeners and the people in this room, is what we built at eXcite. When I say quantum century intelligence, here's a really simple takeaway. Forget the words quantum, forget the word AI. What I want to tell you is if it's December 2nd or 3rd, whatever the date is, 2025. Anyone who pays attention to social media, to the news, has heard about artificial intelligence, has heard about quantum computing in one way or another. And you probably think or have probably had some subconscious thought that, AI and technology and algorithms are coming to take my job, or they're putting pressure on my industry. And the reality is they are, especially in the finance world, right? Right now, algorithms run 60 to 70% of all market activity. The fact.
Yeah.
It's an
That's
absolute.
nothing new. That's nothing new. Even though the public's aware of AI and now it's more known, but that's nothing new. Like high frequency trading, that's 20 years. What? How long?
But it's not just high frequency trading out. What I like, let's say that you're running some type of manual approach right? And a manual approach would be you're looking at coming up with some type of really innovative method of interpreting past trends in the market, looking at averages, looking at indices, doing some type of Bitcoin treasury play, like everybody's doing, right? You are still probably using, or you should probably be using, some type of artificial intelligence, right? But whether you're doing a manual execution or using artificial intelligence, more often than not, by the way, when I say more often, it's probably 99% of the time using this approach that I outlined earlier, which is you assume that tomorrow, Adam, is going to look like yesterday. Rooting miracle.
It's common, right? Like it's very common. That's what it's built on.
It's very common. And by the way, in many aspects of life, not just finance, but when you look at finance and you look at markets, markets are not just these closed loop systems where you can make one trade and you can execute this and that, execute a strategy, and that's it. And there's no other macro effects. Markets are like an energy system or like an organism, right? And so when you have an organism, you have to think of it like a living biological creature, right? And so if you take that fundamental, very, very logical approach to frame the market, you would understand that you should probably approach this like natural science does, right? The first principled approach. And if you do that, you'll understand that the best way to approach this is to say, okay, forget the past. The past is important, but it's not critical. And it's not relevant in microseconds. It's not relevant at high speeds. In today's world, markets move way faster than any decision-making system can support. And so looking at yesterday isn't relevant. Yesterday's too slow to what happened right now. And so you have to think like a human brain works. That's where the quantum century intelligence comes in, right? What we've built at eXcite is a artificial intelligence apparatus that works just like the human brain does. We take in real-time information, we process it like a human brain does. Let me explain that, right? What a human brain does is, Frank, when you were young, did your mom ever give you lessons in saying, don't put your hand in the fire because it's probably gonna hurt? My mom is in the back room right now. Mom, you remember when I stuck a coat hanger in a plug? Come on. And didn't it cause some damage? Yeah. And so, you can ask my mom to verify this. I learned a lesson. To say, don't do it again. The human brain works that way. And saying, when you execute, you learn these life lessons. These life lessons you learn. And once you learn those life lessons, your brain is not going into saying, all right, my name is Doug. I live in quantum. And I'm waking up every day. I'm going to wherever my office is. Sorry, Doug, I put your business out in the streets.
Specific.
Yeah, I didn't say the unit number. If you need the unit number, come talk to me. But when Doug wakes up every day and he goes down to Pura Vida or Pinocchio, wherever he's going for his morning coffee, more than likely, you're not stopping in every tile and saying, all right, I took these steps yesterday, so I should take the average of these or take the exact same steps, right?
I'm just trying to get my express up.
You're just trying to express them. I'm so glad, by the way, that you said that. The human brain works in this very, very logical approach, which is humans are lazy. Humans are lazy. Just like if you're a lion, chase or whatever lions on to gazelles or where the heck they hunt. They're going to go after not the strongest, not the fastest, right? You're going to think, oh, that's the prize. That's what I should go after. No, they go after the weakest. They go after the slowest, right? My man is is nodding right now because he agrees. He knows that what humans do is you're going to go after the max reward, the least amount of energy. That's the AI that we built, is to recognize, we recognize the motion, the energy, that's built up in the markets, we're going after that. The potential energy that's there, Doug, we want to go after the path of least resistance. In natural science, Adam, where does water flow?
Downstream.
Downstream. That's what we do. That's it. It's really freaking simple. So these words, quantum, AI, all that, all these other people are going to tell you, oh, we're running some AI strategy and it's really innovative. My friend with the good hair, you know a thing or two about AI. I can see it in your eyes. Probably a developer turned entrepreneur, multiple exits. You and I both know that how AI models work is they take a huge, model of the past. What many would know at this table and viewers is they take large language models. Large language models are going to say, all right, you're going to put in some creative input that you found some lessons off of some social media guru that gave you prompt engineering lessons. Now you think you're freaking awesome at AI and you're going to run a quant strategy. And you're going to run an amazing high frequency trading strategy. You're going to take headlines. You're going to take speed. You're going to, arbitrage off of XYZ, whatever it is, right? The reality is, at the end of the day, you're doing a really simple mathematical concept. You're taking point A to point B, and you're figuring out what the delta is. Whether it's speed, whether it's news headlines, whether it's latency, this is how most hedge funds, most high-frequency traders, most AI funds and quant funds are executing their strategies. We are not those guys. We take real-time data. We don't rely on any historical data. We take real-time data like a human brain does. And this is how we execute our trading strategy. This is how we manage risk dynamically, Rob, and saying we're going to take real-time data just like a human brain does. We're not trying to figure out how God got to Nokia to get his morning coffee by trying to remember every step that he took in every optimal condition. We don't do that. We're going to take a risk reward in real time. Rob, if a car was coming at you, right, or some type of object is coming at you while you're walking to get your morning coffee, you're probably going to avoid it, right? That's what we do.
So you two shouts out to Pinocchio Coffee. I love Pinocchio.
Delicious. Probably
Yeah, I'm a Pinocchio. I go for sure. No, yeah, that's it. Exactly. 2 in one night. I'm like, this is a good night. So you mentioned quantum computing. You mentioned AI a lot, and I know that's a big part of the strategy. How does the human element, whether it's managing risk or otherwise, like how does the human element play a factor or play a role?
So the quantum computing aspect and the AI aspect, it'll intertwine it in my answer to you, Adam, is in quantum computing, there's this idea that you utilize really, really complex and sophisticated computing infrastructure and software in order to look at thousands or millions of possibilities at once. By the way, that's how a human brain works, right? The human brain is going to say, all right, based on past precedent, based on the lessons that Frank learned from his mom and what I learned from my mom when I sucked coat hanger in a power outlet, right? I know to avoid the risk. I know to, get maximum reward for least amount of effort. But you don't pause to say, all right, okay, let me compute the last, I'm 36. Let me compute the last 36 years of my life and average out what happened. Okay, this condition, I did this, I did that. You don't do that. Yeah. Quantum computing works the same way. So without giving a physics dissertation at this dinner or on this podcast, we use an approach called quantum ensembles of domain, which in simple terms means we will take some input of current snapshots in current microseconds, and we are going to interpret thousands or tens of thousands or millions of possibilities on what the market could look like. And what we do is we will ignore the realities or the potentials that are irrelevant or that are suboptimal to our risk return ratio. There might be 10,000 possibilities. So maybe 8,000 of them are infeasible because they don't get us the risk return that we want. We'll ignore those. We'll take the 2,000 and we take the average of the ones that are most optimal. Maybe it's 10, maybe it's 100 or 1,000. We'll take the average of those, and that's how we execute trading strategies. Dynamically, by the way. Like we adjust in microseconds. Trading strategy 1, 2, 3, and we'll execute those. That's quantum computing. That's our AI.
So when you're talking about a strategy like this, investors, obviously there's investors involved in the fund. Who typically is the right type of fit in general for this?
Let me qualify the question. Philosophically or financially?
Both. Throw them out there. Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. And I'll tell you where the question comes from. So when you're talking about like AI, you're talking about quantum computing, all these other things. Like if you don't have a technical background and you understand, are you okay to be an investor? If you can, you know what I mean? Like that's where I'm going with it. Like who is the right fit? Do you have to be a really sophisticated investor? Like that's what I want to know.
I love that you have asked that question, and especially with those qualifications, you do not have to be a sophisticated investor that understands quantum computing or understands artificial intelligence.
That's the release.
Yes, if you understand risk and return, you are our investor. Now, we are looking for investors that, number one, do understand that this is a first-time fund. It's a innovative technology, all that. We're looking for investors that align with us and say, I'm ready to put in the minimum amount, which is $1 million. All right. We're looking for those people. Typically, those are people that have had exits, people that, may run single family offices, may run other investment funds. We are, Adam, a 100% onshore fund, right? And so we don't, a lot of other funds, they have like foreign investors, some master readers, all that stuff. We're not. We're regulated. We're U.S. We're here, and we take credit investors that meet our qualifications. But you don't need to understand that. Look, you know your risk return. You know that you want to be part of a innovative approach, and you understand that. Forget all the tech, forget all the fancy stuff that we talked about here. If you understand one fundamental problem in the markets, which is the markets are so inundated with algorithmic trading. This is key. If you understand the markets are flooded with that, it is no longer one strategy versus the other. What you have right now is algorithm versus algorithm. And if you know that, you'll understand deeply that the technology and the funds in whom you should invest are the ones that are not relying on that rear view mirror. They're not the ones looking at yesterday in order to execute some innovative strategy. They're the ones who understand that if you want to be competitive in the markets today, you need to look at and pay attention to the real world in real time. That's it. Fundamental, period. That's it. Whether it's us or the other people doing stuff like us, by the way, there are very few. That's it.
Thank you, Adam and Diddy, for all you guys have said. Appreciate it. Thank you guys.